Daly for question number 8, please.
There's no doubt this is an absolute twilight zone because your protestations bear no link to the reality being experienced by people outside here. But in any case, my question relates to the proposed takeover of Aer Lingus by IAG and the fact that thousands of workers in North Dublin, Cork and Shannon are incredibly worried about this proposition. I note from the media that the Labour Party are upset and are worried about this. A few rumblings, but nobody's going to take comfort from that, given that you seem to very much be capable of dealing with your rumblings and your upset and selling your conscience in that. So could you tell us, Minister, and particularly the 5,000 Aer Lingus employees, what your department's role is in relation to the impending sale and takeover of Aer Lingus?
Thank you, Minister.
The government shareholding in Aer Lingus was one of the assets included in the State Assets Disposal Programme approved by Government in 2012, for which I am responsible. Accordingly, my department is represented on the Interdepartmental Steering Group, which is currently examining the issues arising from the recent approaches to Aer Lingus by the IAG. The steering group is chaired by the Department of Transport, Tourism and Sport, as the department with policy responsibility for the sector, and also includes the Department of Finance, who is the minister holding the government's shareholding in Aer Lingus. That's for specific reasons, and it's also involved New Era. They are making a full evaluation of the proposal, and those proposals will come to government in due course.
Thank you. Deputy Clare Daly.
You know, I put down a question to the Minister for Finance, who, as you correctly say, is the shareholder, and he wouldn't even answer that question. And what we have, he transferred it out of the department back to the Minister for Transport. And what we have in our answers to this is the idea of, I suppose, sharing responsibility or offloading it, depending on what way you might look at it. I think what way the workers look at it, and indeed many business and tourist interests outside, are what interest could IAG possibly have for the Irish economy and for Irish workers in return for a paltry 300 million in a company that's already returning you dividends on an annual basis? That amount will be sucked up pretty quick. IAG have nothing positive to offer Aer Lingus. Their involvement is only in relation to expanding their own business interests. Despite any assurances on the Heathrow slots, they wouldn't be worth the paper they're written on.
Thank you.
And I wonder, would you particularly like to comment on the fact that when they took over Iberia, 5,000 people lost their jobs. A similar figure for Aer Lingus would be in the region of about 1,200 jobs. Undoubtedly, executive and senior decision-making would transfer to London, with perhaps a small presence here in Dublin. And could you comment on the economic impact of the loss of these jobs?
Back to the Deputy Minister.
Exchequer.
The Irish Takeover Panel has deemed that Aer Lingus is now in an offer period, and the Takeover Panel rules in regard to communications apply to all parties during this offer period. All parties, including the government as shareholder, must apply the highest standards of care to any statements we make on the matter. Specifically, shareholders must take care in any of their communications to avoid revealing any information that could potentially impact either positively or negatively on the Aer Lingus share price. Because we are a minority shareholder, there are other shareholders who have rights. So what the Minister for Transport has very clearly said is that we are a minority shareholder, and there are other shareholders in it. IAG is entitled to make a bid. That bid is being evaluated, and we will make a determination in relation to the Irish government shareholding in the best interest of the workers, the Irish state, connectivity, and all the matters that have been laid out in such detail by the Minister for Transport. The Deputy can be assured that the very most careful consideration will be made in relation to these matters before any decision is brought to government.
Thank you. Deputy Clare Daly.
Careful assurances of information that we're not party to and opinions that we don't get to see are becoming the mantra of this government, and it's just not good enough. But if you're not prepared to give us information on some of these things, maybe you could comment on the issue of the outstanding pension problem, because there seems to be a belief that the IASS pension scheme issue has been resolved. The reality is that last month monies were taken out of the pockets of pensioners, equating to about £500,000 a month from the local economy. People are not signing the waiver forms. Legal action is pending in that regard, and while appreciating that you say you can't really give us any information at all that might impact on the share price, although the share price is obviously being impacted upon already and has been over the last period, maybe you might comment on whether that issue of the outstanding pension debacle there has been factored into the considerations, or is there a naive belief that this issue has been resolved?
Thank you. Minister.
I'm always amused by the Deputy's cavalier attitude to the law. I've indicated what the rules are. We are obliged to adhere to them. It's not a matter like our views in relation to the Constitution, that we can accept it or reject it according to the vagaries of the day and the political advantage to be made. Government doesn't operate like that. In relation to the share price, you can be sure nothing I have said will impact on it, because I will confine myself to the strictures of the rules and the law that exists. In relation to the second question on pension matters, that's a matter for which I have no responsibility.